Hi guys, in this video I will share you my CAD to Cinema 4D workflow about how to get cleaner and manageable meshes when using step or IGES files. Let's dive right in. Mographer. So in the most cases, when you work with CAD data, we need to convert this. The most of the time we convert it to step or IGES. In this case, for this example, I choose to download a step file from GrabCAD made by Ivo Jardim. Thanks for that. I downloaded this, and to work with it, I choose to open this with a program called Moment of Inspiration. I will drop the link of this in the description below as well. It's from the creators of Rhino, I think. It's a small program, but it is very useful for exporting parts and controlling the polycount of that. So this is Moment of Inspiration. As you can see, the mesh is really dense. There are many objects. So I know from experience to ask the clients for hollow objects, so there are no objects hidden in the model if you don't see it in the render. So in this case, it's not that optimized, so it's, I think, a good example. And also, this step file respect to Ivo, but it has no groups. So this is sort of like the worst case scenario, because when I try to export this object in one time, it will create millions of polygons and it will be out of memory. So, and I have a really beefy workstation, but that's too much. So yeah, for a high detailed export to Cinema 4D, we have to create layers or groups or chunks. So I think maybe 4 parts, 4 files that we can merge in Cinema 4D. So now I will group some heavy objects together by selecting dense objects. Maybe this one has to be like the group in the red, yes. So yeah, and I think that we can really combine these parts together by selecting it. Yeah, again, yes. So this can be the first batch, and so you can see now it's only the red things are shown. This is working a lot faster because of all the details, all the bolts in there. We have to select what has to be part of one group. So maybe this is still red, and this is also, all the big parts can be one chunk. So yeah, there's a little bit handwork here. So maybe this is one layer. Then we go to the second one. There's smaller parts. Select a bunch of them, and when you hide more objects, it's gonna be faster to work with. So it's increasing in speed. So this is a very relatively large file. So most of the time you receive files that are not workable in any way. So this is, I think, a good example of a conversion to Cinema 4D. Now we have grouped all the parts in 3 groups, as you can see right here. Black, red, and orange. And let's start with this one because this is has some interesting shapes. Okay, so let's select all, and we're going to export this as an LWO file. It's a lightweight format, and Cinema 4D can import this. So we call this part 1. And after that you get meshing options, and these options are really amazing. This is the most important step for exporting these files. So what we have here is we can control the density of an object, and we can control the curves of it, and we can avoid objects with it. So what I always do is set an angle, and this way let's try an angle. So what it does is it creates more polygons. If we look here, we have slider as well. You can see here it's creating more or less polygons on the curves. So let's try 5 for this one. I think this is maybe a good amount. Let's keep in mind how close the camera is going to be at your object. So if we are really focusing on this part here, maybe we can increase this, but this is just a small part of the total object. So I think this is good enough. And this is also a really important one, because when you look at this curve here, it has really low poly count. So then we could change it with this, and we can divide the larger parts. So this number is saying look for larger parts with curved polygons and then divide it with this amount. So now it's nice and clean. And also we have tiny objects in this scene that we can avoid. So maybe set at 0.1. Then you can see in the right corner here the poly count, and if we crank it up a bit, then you see it will decrease the poly count by a fair amount. So in this case you can really optimize your settings, and if you like, you can do it with smaller parts as well. So maybe this whole part can be like these settings, and maybe this part can be exported with higher settings. So you can really crank up all the objects. So for this I say let's do this. Okay, then it's going to export, and it's taking a while, and when it's light like this, then it's done. So now we can go to the next, and we can say the red layer, select all, and export, and we call this part 2. Part 2, and it remembered the settings. What I always do is making a screen grab of this dialog and save it near the project with the step file. So I always remember what my settings were for this particular object. So when the client comes in with an updated version, you know the settings right away. So for this we can click OK, and then it's calculating and exporting. It has to create all these polygons into one file, so it can take a while. Yes, and it's done. And then we have to do the last one, and that's all the small parts. This is the trickiest one because this is still very heavy and it has all these curves. So we can try to do this by selecting all again, and then file, export, part 3, sorry. Part 3.lwo. Same settings. We can choose to reduce the settings here, but I think it will be good for this. Yes. So for this we also hit OK, and then we have to wait a fair amount, I think. Yes, and it's done. So now we exported the complete object, so we can now dive right in Cinema 4D. Also good to know, this moment of inspiration is saving a default scene file as a 3DM file. It's the same file extension as Rhino. So if you want to open this again, the 3DM file is loading much faster. So it's a project file. So we close this. I want to change it. I want to save this. Yes, because I have all the layers made. This one. Yes. and we go to Cinema 4D. So yeah, now we are in Cinema 4D, and we'll open the parts. First, part 1. Yeah, you have to play around with the scale of it. It depends on how the scaling is in the CAD file, but let's leave it at this. So you see it created a material, a default layer, because we set it up in Moment of Inspiration. We have the part name here, and we have all the names still active in this hierarchy. So, and what you see is it's a really nice, clean look. We have a clean mesh here, so and it's working pretty fast. So we can now merge every part together. Part 2. Yes. Again with the same layer color, the red one, and we merge the last one, and that will be the heaviest one. Merge it. Yes. So now we have all 3 the parts imported in Cinema 4D. Then we are going to save it, of course, as a Cinema 4D project, and we can create a null, put everything inside it, rotate it so it's standing the correct position, angle, sorry, yeah, and then we reset the anchor point, so the access point, so I'm sorry. So yeah, here is the object that we imported in from a CAD file. How good it's looking. This one also, maybe a little bit red. And one orange, maybe. So you can see it's a really good way to import your CAD files. It's clean and it's very useful and it's fast. So yeah, this is my way of fixing this. Oh, and this kind of weird artifacts you can get really easy out with it has to do with the Phong angle and with the connected polygons. So if we go in here, and you can see we have a Phong break selection, and we override the tag, and then we choose like an angle of 10. So we can select this part. We can disconnect this plate to its object, so it's easy fix. So we press UD for disconnect, and then now you see it's fixed. So it's now quickly done. So yeah, so this is my workflow of importing CAD files into Cinema 4D. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. For more tutorials, please subscribe to my channel. For any questions, I hope to speak to you in the comments below. Bye!